It's time for the Rick Smith Show. Now, here is the voice of the working class, Rick Smith.
And welcome, brothers, sisters, working class heroes. This is the Rick Smith Show. Thanks so much for being here. Today on the big program, lots to get to, lots to talk about. Going to start off with the Ukrainian president. Zelensky sent condolences to the U.S., saying that he was deeply saddened by the tragedy in Texas. In fact, tweeted out, deeply saddened by the news of the murders of innocent children in Texas. Sincere condolences to the families of the victims, the people of the U.S. and POTUS over this tragedy. The people of Ukraine share the pain of the relative and friends of the victims and all Americans. And they're basically being bombed into the Stone Age by a maniacal dictator, and got time to send thoughts and prayers and condolences. Now that I'll take that from him, because he has no power, no control, no ability to make change here. I'll take it from nobody else. President Obama said that our country is paralyzed, not by fear, but by a gun lobby and a political party that have shown no willingness to act in any meaningful way that might help prevent these tragedies. Yeah, truth. But the NRA did. The NRA did send their deepest sympathies to the families, and not just their sympathies, but their deepest sympathies. And thank goodness for that, right? And what happened in Texas was the 27th school shooting this year, the 119th since 2018, and the highest number since I guess last year, 34. So we're getting there. Well, we still got a whole half a year to go yet. I predict the way things have been going, we should to use a gun nut term, we should blow that out of the water. And the thing that bothers me is each one of these 27 this year, the 34 last year, the 119 since 2008, has followed a pretty simple, normal, predictable path. You have this horrible shooting, you have this horrible event, you have this outcry, there's a media frenzy feeding, it's everything about the shooter, everything about every minute of every day, the tears, just all kinds of just constant media stuff. And then the thoughts and prayers. Lots of people, oh yeah, how tragic. Oh, then we're going to hear the stories of, these wonderful children. We're going to get all this. We're going to be inundated with all of this stuff. And then social media is going to, ramp up, and you're going to have the gun debates, and we're having this. We'll be having the one side, we should ban all guns. The other side, no, we need more guns. And you're going to have all this. You're going to have the noise, and it's going to be loud. It's going to be crazy. And nobody politically is going to do anything. And we're going to go through some of this because they're not. And then it quiets down until the next time. And then again, same thing. You have this horrible tragedy. And it's the same thing. The media frenzy, you have this, just constant, and then thoughts and prayers, and social media debate over the guns and no guns and all this stuff. And then no one actually does anything. And then it calms back down. And then it happens again. And it's just constant, it's this cycle. And it's gotten to be it's gotten to the point, quite frankly, that the windows have gotten smaller. That we go through these stages a lot quicker now. Because, that happened, that was yesterday. What's going on today? And we don't hold on to anything. And you look at Twitter, you look at social media, it's the same. You could just change the dates And it would be the same debate. It would be the same discussion. In fact, I deliberately tweeted out a cartoon. And, I always think of cartoons as something, funny. This isn't funny. It's an image of the Republican Party and the NRA, carrying their assault weapon, holding hands, walking away from a field of bloody bodies. With the caption "Blood Brothers," saying, we've accomplished so much together. And the reason I put that out is not for the shock value of the image, because we're not shocked by any of this stuff. I put it for the date. The date was 11/8/2018. And you could use that image over and over and over and over again. Because back in 2018, that was shocking. Now it's like, yeah, it's Wednesday. And when the next one comes, I'll have it ready for the next one. And this is how this is gone. And this is why this moment is so frustrating. Because as Chris Murphy pointed out yesterday, this doesn't happen around the world. This doesn't happen in the rest of the world. Because, well, they do things. Their governments actually do something. And I look at Joe Manchin's statement. Joe Manchin. He says it makes no sense at all why we can't do common sense things and try to prevent some of this from happening. It's all just unbelievable how we've gotten as a society that someone could be that deranged and this sick. No, they're not deranged and sick. I'm not going to give you that out. They had a weapon of destruction that you have gone, okay, go ahead. So he's asked, what are you going to do? And he goes, well, I'm going to do anything I can. I'm going to do anything I can to pass common sense legislation to address the gun violence. We're going to do anything we can do, anything we can do to address this issue. So someone said, hey, well, in order to pass it, you're going to need to address filibuster reform. Whoa. Can't do that. No. Whoa. When I said anything, I didn't mean anything. What I really meant is I'm not going to do anything. I'll do nothing in my quest to do anything. And this is my problem. And this is where the frustration is, because we don't hold these people accountable. Oh, the headline is Joe Manchin will do anything. And then you read the body of the article, he's really going to do nothing. And you find out that these people they're well secured. Because the Sergeant of Arms of the House wants to ban all guns in the Capitol. They're going to be in a gun-free zone. They're going to be safe. We find out that Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, after the shooting, instead of going to work on figuring out how to make sure this doesn't happen again, went to a fundraiser over 300 miles away. Yeah. And today, the news of Beto O'Rourke going to, and good on Beto O'Rourke. I'm not a huge fan. I've never really been a huge fan, but good on him for saying, you know what? Enough already. He said, you're doing nothing. You're offering us nothing. You said this is not predictable. This is totally predictable. And it is. These things are totally predictable. And it's about time that people stand up and say something. It's about time that people stop playing by the Marquess of Queensberry rule. Stop saying, Mother, may I. I'm actually proud of Beto O'Rourke for, stepping forward in this moment and saying, enough already. And you got these people, now is not the time. No, now is the perfect time to be talking about this. Now is the perfect time to be pointing fingers at these elected leaders who have done nothing. I look at Representative Ronnie Jackson, Trump's boy, who, Second Amendment guy, who's now blaming, this is, where did you pull this out of? Did you fall back into 1980? Evidently, this is video games and rap music. That's That's why this is. It's not the guns, evidently. No. Need more guns. And my email box was full of, no, this is the broken family. And you go, hey, dimwits, do you believe that there are broken families in other countries? Do you believe they've got rap music and video games in other countries? Yes, they do. You know what they don't have? They don't have 118 mass shootings since school shootings since 2018. 119. I'm sorry. They don't have 119 school shootings in that time period. No, they don't have that. We're unique in that. And why is it? It's not the rap music. It's not the video games. It's not the broken families. Everybody has that. Gee, it could be the gun. Could be the gun. I think. Don't quote me on the. No, absolutely quote me on it. It's the gun. And I've been sitting here thinking about Republican logic, because it's always, we got to blame something else. We got to distract in certain ways. And I'm sitting here in my mind going, it's crazy that nothing can get done. Do you remember right after the memo was leaked about Roe? That, oh my gosh, the Supreme Court leak, that was all about the leak. We're going to get that leaker. When you know who the leaker probably was. It was a justice's wife, a certain Supreme Court justice's wife who has a history of doing something like this, who wants Roe to end. And people went to the justice's house and protest. Very peaceful. In fact, they went to Amy Coney Barrett's house and dressed up in Handmaid's Tales costumes and had candlelight vigils. They went to Susan Collins' house and they drew with chalk on the ground. Oh my gosh, they defaced the sidewalk with chalk. Oh my goodness. Immediately the Republicans and our whole establishment, they came together, and in days they acted to solve what was a crisis, because the Supreme Court and their Senate brothers and sisters, that's who's important to them. They don't care about us. They don't care about our kids. Oh, thoughts and prayers. Yeah, about that. They don't care about, when they care about something, look how efficiently they can move. They passed a piece of legislation in a day to protect the Supreme Court, to protect Susan Collins. In fact, in Maine, not only did she not have to wait for it to rain to get the chalk off of her sidewalk, they called out the Department of Public Works to come and wash her sidewalk. That's how important that was to them. That's how efficiently things work. But our children? No, we can't possibly pass any sane laws. We can't do anything. Then there's the other part of this. I listened to the Ted Cruz's. I listened to the gun nuts going, we need to arm our teachers. We need to get guns into the hands of teachers. And I was sitting here thinking about this. I'm going, hold on. Wasn't it just the day before that you were calling teachers sexual predators and groomers and how they couldn't be trusted with our kids? And now you want to give predators guns? Now you want to give these horrible leftist, horrible people guns? I mean, do you see how insane this rhetoric is? I mean, there's no logic whatsoever to what they're saying. But, we need those teachers with guns to keep our kids safe. But we can't depend on them to help them learn to read and write. We can't ensure that they help our children learn to critically think. No. We need some crazy mythical pastor. Deep breath. This is where we're having such problems. Ted Cruz came out today. Said we need to. I love this. Again, this is another one of those. Help me through this, Ted. I got to think this Republican logic through. We need schools that have just one exit and entrance. Just one. Just highly fortified, heavily guarded, heavily armed. Just one. That's how we're going to keep our kids In fact, we'll take those hardened cockpit doors that we didn't use for the airplanes for years, going to put them on the schools. And my first thought was, okay, where's the legislation? Oh, you weren't really serious, were you? No, you just wanted to speak. I got it. Because where's the funding bill that you're going to vote against? Because what you're talking about is millions and millions of dollars in retrofitting schools. But again, you weren't really serious. You're just, flapping the gums. Because you don't have any solutions. But you're throwing everything out there, the spaghetti theory. Because you're so desperate to get away from what is right in front of everyone. It's the easy access to these murder machines. That's what it is. And if Ted Cruz isn't bad enough, and I find Ted Cruz despicable, I look at this Gozer character, Arizona Republican Paul Gozer, who evidently he thought it was a good idea to spread false, evidently the right wing, in doing what they do because they saw a good tragedy, 19 dead kids and a couple of teachers, 3 teachers. This is an excellent opportunity to go beat up on the trans community. Evidently, they found these images of this person who I guess lives in Georgia, and they said that evidently this is the person. And the tweet that he went out and he spread, this is the trans people. This is that's the shooter's transgender, and what? Again, never let a good crisis go to waste when you have an agenda. And your agenda is to divide, not to solve our problems. Again, these people have no answers. All they want is tragedy and division. And this is where elections have consequences. Right now, we should be in the streets screaming. Don't take to social media. Don't care what your thoughts are on social media at this moment, because it's the same as it's been the last time and the time before. It'll go away tomorrow and we'll forget about it the day after until the next tragedy. It's time to really start getting in the streets and really holding these people accountable. That's just my thought. I'd love to hear yours. You can email me, rick@thericksmithshow.com. I'm going to take a quick break right back after this. 1-866-416-RICK, 1-866-416-7425. If you got a quick thought, want to hear it.
It doesn't matter what kind of weather. It doesn't matter what time of day or night. When Mother Nature's done her worst, the only thing that matters to us is keeping the lights on for you. The hardworking women and men of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, dedicated to keeping the power on in communities all across the country. Because when bad weather strikes, we know what matters most. IBEW, the power professionals.
Indigenous people have been saying that we feel a shift in the climate for decades. Climate change is here. The time is now to pass the torch on to the next generation of clean energy warriors. We need to put the land back to work for our people. That means creating jobs for them to live and thrive in our communities. The time is now. Congress must invest in clean energy.
Over 70 years of experience in heart and aviation, the members of the Association of Flight Attendants know the realities of the aircraft cabin better than anyone. We don't just serve drinks, we save lives. We don't just negotiate contracts, we move major policy issues like the smoking ban, no knives on planes, clean water, and safe food on board. The air we breathe matters, and we stop the spraying of poisonous pesticides. Training, rest, and no calls on planes matter as we fight fires, de-escalate conflict, revive, and breathe life. We safely usher passengers to the big business deal, the family vacation, the times of celebration, times of grief, and times of battle. We are aviation's first responders, and we are the last line of defense in aviation security. We are the first impression and the smile of aviation, connecting the people of our nations. Fly with us, partner with us, make progress with us. The Association of Flight Attendants. Stronger together, better together.
Welcome back to the Rick Smith Show. Now, here is Rick Smith.
You know, I'm still stuck in this moment. You know, you look at the fact that when our government wants to move, when our Republicans want something done, man, they can move quickly. When it's important to them, when it's important to corporate interest, when they're covering their own behind, man, they can move lickety-split. When it comes to us, when it comes to protecting workers, when it comes to protecting consumers, when it comes to protecting minority groups, when it comes to protecting our children, nowhere to be found. And a perfect example of this, you know, right after that Supreme Court, leak, immediately Florida sprung into action. And their legislature passed a law, no protesting at people's homes. No, you can't go to politicians' homes. You can't go to justices' homes. You can't go to, no protesting at homes. Because look, we don't want you going to the CEO of the people who make the AR-15s and putting a microphone in the CEO and going, hey, how does it feel to live in this huge mansion where you make all this blood money? Yeah, we don't hear much of that, do we? And maybe we should be. But hey, in Florida, there's a law. It's against the law to go protest in front of, and maybe this is where all the CEOs are now going to live because, well, your freedom of speech has been just diminished because it's important that it's diminished. It's important that it's squelched. It's important that you're silenced because you don't matter. And again, this circle, you have these horrible tragedies. You know, the media goes crazy because, everyone's paying attention. Everyone wants the details. The bloody, gory, horrible details. And then thoughts and prayers. Lots of those. We care about the children. Then we go through the debates. We go through the outrage. We go through all that. And nothing gets done. Nothing gets done. And then it goes away. We throw up our hands. Go, no. Next time, we're going to do something next time. And we don't even cross our fingers anymore. And this is the problem I have with all of this. This is my problem with Republican and some Democrats. Look, Kirsten Sinema, she's saying, about, the DC solutions on guns are not realistic. Well, what are those? We haven't even debated those. The reality is the vast majority of people want background checks. Why can't we get background checks? Why can't we get that done? Oh, that's right, because people like you, Kirsten, people like Joe Manchin, going, well, we're not going to do anything on the filibuster, sorry. Because you got people like Tony Gonzalez proud of the fact that he voted against any sane gun regulation. And then on the day of a tragedy in his district, thoughts and prayers. A weird, creepy Bible verse of the children going to God. Am I the only one who sees this as wrong? Am I the only one who sees this as angering? And look, I have people who go to me, well, it's just not the children. Yeah, this is what gets us outraged. There are killings every day. And again, it comes back to there's a common denominator here. It's the fact that we've got more guns than we've got people. Why don't we have a system that says you got to insure your car, you got to insure your dog, but you don't have to insure your gun? You don't even have to register your gun. I know, but it's my right to have one. In fact, in 32 states, you don't even have to know how to use a gun to own one. You don't even have to fire it to own it and carry it around. You don't think that's kind of wrong? And it's all because, our leaders are totally ineffective. Because the money machine, the gun lobby, they got us by the short hairs. Right where they want us. They're making money. And our children, they're being sacrificed. They're being sacrificed at the altar of profit. Sad stuff. Quick break, right back. I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. On this day in labor history, the year was 1934. That was the day trucking bosses and leading Teamsters in Minneapolis reached a tentative agreement after a tumultuous week of fighting in the city market. Strikers won many of their demands, including union recognition and the reinstatement of all strikers. Such a thorough victory at the Battle of Deputies Run earlier in the week had shaken the city's elites to their core. As the dust settled on the picket lines, Governor Floyd Olson had called a 24-hour truce in an effort to organize negotiations. The debacle of Ohio National Guardsmen attacking Toledo strikers had reached Minneapolis. Fears of a growing red menace fueled demands for a settlement, prompting Olson to order National Guardsmen into the city's armories armed to the teeth. Historian Brian Palmer, author of Revolutionary Teamsters, The Minneapolis Trucker Strikes of 1934, observed that the May 25th deal settled the strike quickly enough, but final victory would be postponed. Strike leaders had to choose which concessions to make under immense pressure from state politicians, intractable employers, and federal mediators. They also worked to avoid a potentially deadly confrontation with the National Guard. Above all, they demanded union recognition, agreed to arbitration of future disputes, and withdrew the demand for a closed shop. There was no contract, and the inclusion of inside workers proved contentious. Palmer adds the gains were limited but real enough, as strike leaders spelled out what had begun as a violent assault on strikers ended with workers fighting in their own interests, learning that they had only their union to rely on. The open shop offensive was defeated, and union recognition was won. In the weeks ahead, it would become clear the fight was far from over. For more information, go to laborhistoryin2.com, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at laborhistoryin2.
I've been driving buses for 5 years, and my day-to-day routine is I wake up a little earlier than most people. I get on a bus, I go out, I pick up some students and make sure they get to school nice and safe. Here in Fairbanks, Alaska, that can be a challenge because of the winter weather and the icy roads, but I love the job. So the Teamsters are great. They provide us a lot of protections. They've always taken care of their people, made sure that our jobs were secure. We didn't have to worry about whether or not we'd have a job from day to day.
And that's amazing because before we'd be working 4, 6, 8 hours a day and only earning minimum wage was real difficult to make a living. And the Teamsters pushed a lot so we make something we can live off of and not have to have a second job. What absolutely gives me peace of mind, the union membership allows me to focus on this job without having to worry about whether or not my family is going to be taken care of. I'm Andrew Case, and I'm proud to be Teamsters Local 959.
Welcome back to the Rick Smith Show. Now, here is Rick Smith.
So it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and we've seen messages from athletes and actors saying it's okay to seek help. I keep going. What about normal people? It's great. It's great that actresses and athletes, seem to think it's okay, because it is. It's okay if you need someone to talk to, if you need someone to help you get through a rough patch. Because look, life seems to be getting a lot more stressful these days with everything coming at us, the pandemic, all the stuff that's in the news. I mean, every day, it's something. So seeking out someone to talk to. I don't know, especially if you've hit a rough spot, not feeling right. I don't think that should be viewed negatively. And that's why I wasn't surprised to find out that our friends over at the International Union of Bricklayers and Allied Craft Workers have a helpline for their members. That's why I've asked Alex Jacoby to come talk with us. She's the Assistant Director of the Member Assistance Program there with the International Union of Bricklayers and Allied Craft Workers. Their website, bacweb.org. Alex, thanks for taking time for us.
Thank you so much for having me, Rick. I'm really, really glad to be here today.
So,
Grateful for the opportunity.
We see these messages all the time, Alex. Athletes saying, it's okay to get help, it's okay. But we don't see that coming for average, everyday working folks. So I'm happy to see your unions stepped up and said, hey, look, you know what? If you hit a rough patch, talk to somebody. There's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely, yeah. So one of the biggest things that we can do to combat stigma is to normalize these issues. Obviously, mental health struggles, substance use issues. I mean, that's maybe more at the severe or clinical end of things, but just everyday family conflict, burnout, anxiety, obvious, financial distress, things that are just hitting us really hard and acutely now with the pandemic and political upheaval. These are issues that impact all of us. And so our department exists. It is way predated the pandemic, of course, over the last few years, but we exist to kind of be a safety net for our members that are struggling with these types of issues and don't really know where else to go, where else to turn. It's a very, very daunting healthcare system. It can even be daunting for licensed mental health professionals like myself, those that have a lot of experience navigating the system. So for individuals that are not well versed in identifying these resources, accessing these resources, we serve to bridge that gap and to kind of facilitate that process.
Yeah, now this is something beyond just having a buddy at the union to talk to. You're actually somebody who has some real training, a real professional who's going to help navigate the system and get, especially if someone needs some actual help. I mean, there's one thing having, hey, I need someone to talk to. I need to, just a vent to work through some things. There's that. But if someone really needs help, you're clearly qualified and trained to help in that way, right?
Yep, I am a licensed mental health professional. Our department is staffed by licensed mental health professionals. My colleague is licensed mental health professional. We have a lot of training and experience, not just in clinical matters, but in that kind of niche area where clinical matters meet the union world and the labor world. And so we bring that expertise to the work that we do, to the conversations that we have with our members, which often surprises them in terms of how accessible it is and how comfortable they almost immediately feel in working with us. I think sometimes the process can seem really daunting and overwhelming, which is why they might shy away from it entirely. I talk to members all the time who we might be the first mental health professional, first therapist they've ever talked to in their entire lives. And they might have an idea of what that might look like or feel like. It might be incredibly intimidating. They might feel incredibly comfortable. We might present as, or their fear that we might present as really kind of stiff and unapproachable. And the only feedback we ever get is the exact opposite, that even just in that initial conversation that they have, that they feel immediate relief, even just from the conversation itself, without any actual implementation of treatment yet, if treatment is indicated for their particular presenting issue.
Yeah, I think of some of my big burly bricklayer friends, and they're people too. They when they've got problems, they got problems like anybody else. They've got that rough, tough exterior, but on the inside, they got problems like anybody else. And as I was thinking about having this conversation with you, I think back to some of those friends and some of the struggles that they've had with addiction, with relationships, with just life in general. And to have programs like this, which I gotta think, and I'm thinking about a friend from Philadelphia who wrote a book and really shared his life struggles. I gotta think a big part of this came out of those struggles that members shared and kind of pushed for programs like yours to exist.
Yep. I'm glad to hear stories like that, because I think that's a part of the work that we do, re-narrating what it means to be strong and tough. Unfortunately, kind of part of the stigma with addressing mental health. And I know that term in and of itself can be really polarizing, but just any issue that, might be considered mental illness or in the periphery of mental illness, just everyday stress, the challenges that come along with dealing with life on life's terms. None of us come out unscathed. We tend to think of that in addressing those types of issues as weak. And that's a really unfortunate stigma associated with looking at this more vulnerable human, but vulnerable part of yourself. And really, it's quite the exact opposite, that it takes an incredible and immense amount of courage to address these types of issues, to tap into the part of yourself that acknowledges that you might need help or support. We are, collectivists. We subscribe to collectivism. We can't do life alone. We're very adjacent to the philosophy of the union world, right? What we do. So to be able to kind of come forward, your friend that wrote the book, I commend that person extremely for being able to show up and do that, because that is no easy feat, and it's not a demonstration of cowardice. It takes a lot of strength to say, here's my situation, I'm confronting it. And the very act of doing that alone in and of itself for so many people is healing. Because so many people carry so much shame. Go ahead, sorry.
No, for him, he suffered from addiction, and sadly, he's since passed. But I know a lot of my building trades friends. Addiction is one of the things that in the work world overall. I mean, addiction is a struggle for a lot of people, and to have access to someone to maybe help, especially if you're at the beginning of that struggle, so that maybe you can get the help at the beginning, so you don't have a lifetime of this. Which is why I think it's important to do this. So as you're going through this, and clearly you're not going to give me examples of this, but what seems to be the big struggles for folks who may be listening, going, I've got problems, but maybe they don't rise to the level that I need to call Alex and bother you with my problems. What's that look like?
We get it all. We are like a catch-all. So some of the major issues, as you mentioned, that impact individuals in the trades, individuals in the construction industry are, as you noted, depression, suicidality, substance use disorders, alcohol use disorders, but that is far from the only types of issues that we work with. We work with people that are confronting, just everyday kind of generalized worry, but non-clinical anxiety, to extreme severe anxiety, panic disorder, stress, burnout, grief, trauma, PTSD, issues related to perhaps non-traditional work hours, seasonal unemployment. I can't remember if I mentioned it already or not, but just general.
So you're basically just running the gamut.
Oh yeah, we run the full gamut, because we really help anyone that is struggling with anything acutely or chronically that is impacting their quality of life. It's really a service that supports individuals in being able to overcome any barriers that are impeding their ability to function in their personal lives, their professional lives, or any combination of the two.
You listen to the Rick Smith Show. We're here with Alex Jacoby. She's the Assistant Director of Member Assistance Program there with the International Union of Bricklayers and Allied Craft Workers. You want to check out their website, bacweb.org is that website. We'll get links out on social media. You can take a look at that. If you're a member of the Bricklayers Union, make sure you check out your union's resources. And this is, again, one of those things as being a member. And this is why, again, I all of my non-union friends, this is one of those reasons why you join and form unions, for programs like this to help each other, to help your coworkers, to help brothers and sisters. That old ideal of an injury to one being an injury to all, or concern of one. This is one of those concerns to help each other out. So I got to ask you, how did you get involved in? How did you get to this? Because as someone who you're clearly trained, clearly knowledgeable. How do you get to the building trades world?
Yep. I'm going to answer that question in 1 second. Really quickly, I do want to just add to what you just noted, which is something I don't think I'd mentioned earlier, that this benefit is entirely confidential. I think a lot of times people might be nervous about contacting or getting in touch with us. Hey, are you going to tell my business agent or my rep that, I'm calling, or let my employer know what's going on? We operate just like any other mental health facility or clinic. We're just in-house with the union. So we, HIPAA applies, federal laws apply, and everything that we talk about or discuss with members, unless otherwise requested and paperwork needs to be signed, but is entirely confidential. I just wanted to make sure that I...
No, I see again, there's, I assumed that, and that was my fault for, facts not in evidence, my assumption, and I'm glad you clarified that. So that's a perfect thing.
That's typically just a barrier to treatment or calling that we see sometimes. So I wanted to make sure that I pointed that out. But maybe where I just went is a good segue into your previous question, or answering your previous question, which was how I got into this world. And so I think many mental health professionals maybe identify themselves as, or identify with being empaths. They're hearty and they're soulful, and that's very much me. That's kind of always been in my nature. But it's a calling for a lot of people. I know that sounds really, really, really cliche, but it was true for me. Just very much a calling. I knew I wanted to be in this field. And then without getting too much into a discussion that's maybe outside of this realm, I think when politically things started to turn over the last few years and get a little bit chaotic, I was pulled to come to DC and maybe be a little bit closer to the action. And I have always liked working with maybe a non-traditional setting. And so when I came across this opportunity, working for the union and in the labor movement is so adjacent to my personal values, what we do professionally, it was just magic.
So I get it. You're a fighter. You're somebody who wants to get in the mix, ball up the digits, throw some. I get it. Perfect for being in the labor movement and someone who out there wants to help somebody. I love it. I think it's a perfect story.
It was meant to be.
So, last line of questioning I've got for you, because, again, with this being Mental Health Awareness Month, I'm wanting to highlight the fact that there's nothing wrong with reaching out and seeking help in a moment of need. Because, we all reach a point, and hopefully we don't reach a breaking point, but we all reach a point where we need someone to talk to. What's the advice for folks? I mean, I know myself. I like to think, hey, I can handle any situation. I'm a tough guy. I'm your typical alpha male. I can deal with it. But sometimes you just need somebody to confide in, someone to vent to a little bit, someone to unburden to.
Absolutely.
And I think this is part of that, right?
It's counterintuitive, right? We think that I'll just deal with this on my own. It's kind of, culturally normed in this world that folks might suffer in silence, and that will be the path to relief. Paradoxically, the opposite is true. You not only are dealing with the thing you're dealing with and the initial or primary source of your pain or suffering, but then on top of it, the shame around it, the internalization of it just exacerbates symptoms and stress. It does nothing for relief. So just looking at or being willing to question what feels intuitively true about how we feel better in and of itself can maybe help you overcome the barrier to reaching out for help. Not to be redundant, but it really kind of maybe seems like it would make sense that I'm good. I'll just think my way or out of this, or not think my way out of this, right? I'll just not feel it. I'll compartmentalize it. That just exacerbates the issues. I cannot stress enough how normal and common it is to struggle acutely, chronically, just because, a lot of us have really kind of black or white thinking about mental illness or mental health, that a person is either can't get out of bed, just so severely in pain, just totally bedridden, just
sane or insane.
Or exactly, sane or insane, or they're great. There's nothing to look at. And that could not be further from the truth. So undermining your own ideas about what mental health really is. And that's why we encourage people to contact us, because we really, really demystify that for people. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that were struggling with clinical depression that didn't even know that they were struggling with clinical depression. I mean, they see themselves and are functional, they're high functioning, but they're struggling and they're suffering. So really, really kind of demystifying what it is, what mental illness is, and how to get it. We facilitate that process. And there was one other thing that I wanted to say, and I I lost it.
Yeah. So then, because I'm listening to all this. So there's got to be one of those moments where you go, all of this comes together where, there's a story that you can leave us with that this is the reason. This is that moment that leave us with that story.
Yep. I'm going to do the same thing I did again a few moments ago, which is say the thing that I remembered. It came back to me, and then I'm going to answer your question.
Of course.
I'm really good at that. I don't know. It's a strength or a weakness, depending on how you look at it. So a lot of people think of the absence of mental illness as the same thing as mental health. And that couldn't be further from the truth. So we exist as a benefit to help people improve their quality of life. You don't want to just go through life without pain. You want to feel good. That's true physically, and we know that that's true emotionally and behaviorally. So we want people, even if they aren't struggling with severe mental illness, to understand that we're a space for them as well. One moment that really, really stood out to me when I first came to the union, or I shouldn't say first came to the union, maybe within my first year at the union, I was at a local leaders meeting, and a gentleman approached me who I had never seen before, I didn't recognize him. And he came up to me and he said, "You don't know me. We spoke about 6 months ago. That conversation completely changed my life." This was an individual who at that time needed to get into detox and ultimately into inpatient rehabilitation. And we facilitated that process and got to see the journey and aftermath of where he started to where he is. And this is still somebody I keep in touch with to this day. He's thriving, and he just, without congratulating ourselves too much, he regularly says he owes his life to
That's a great story.
So
that's a great story, and hopefully there are more folks that reach out. Alex, I appreciate you taking some time, sharing your stories, and keep up the great work. I think it's fabulous what you guys do. Good stuff.
Thank you so much, Rick. Thank you for having us on. We're so glad to be here.
Thanks so much, Alex. Alex Jacoby, she is the Assistant Director of the Member Assistance Program there at the International Union of Bricklayers and Allied Crafts. If you're a member, make sure you check out the website, bacweb.org. If you're a non-member, you're not a member yet, maybe check it out and figure out how to become. This is, again, one of those reasons that I keep telling people. This is the reason you become a union member. Just a thought. Love to hear yours. You can email me, rick@thericksmithshow.com. If you miss any of the program, make sure you grab the podcast. Always there, always available. Wherever you get yours, from iTunes to iHeart, Podbean to Stitcher, everywhere in between. Make sure you grab it. Quick break. Right back to the crowd.
You cannot be a Christian and vote Democrat in this nation. They are God-denying demons that butcher babies and hate this nation.
There are baby parts, and you don't want to talk about how they're being stored. You don't want to talk about putting them in freezers. You don't want to talk about putting them in Pyrex dishes.
Jesus, God, baby, Lord, Jesus, God, baby. One more time.
America is a Christian nation founded by Christian men, and we intend to keep it that way.
How long until mainstream Christianity is deemed domestic extremism?
Genitals, I don't care if you're black or white, are a third the size they were of a 1960s male.
So if you don't declare your pronouns, maybe you're a domestic extremist too.
3-year-old girls are now having periods. 5-year-old girls are now getting pregnant.
When you go to bed at night, put your head on that soft pillow, you know Oz will be doing exactly what you want him to do if you were there next to him.
I'm Candace Taylor.
My NFTs, they are available on melaniatrump.com. There are pictures and animated videos from our time in the White House.
Are you going to accept the results of this election?
Well, it depends on if they're fraud or not.
And how are you going to tell if there's fraud or not?
Because no Indians here.
We have no ability to decertify the election and go back and nullify it. We do not.
You ain't seen an insurrection yet. You keep on pushing our buttons, you low-down sorry compromisers. You God-hating communist America, you'll find out what an insurrection is, because we ain't playing your garbage. We ain't playing your mess. My Bible says that the church of the living God is an institution that the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. And the Bible says that we'll take it by force.
Bigger and better and stronger than ever before.
The great MAGA king.
From the steel mills of Pennsylvania, to the auto factories of Michigan, to the modern makers movement, manufacturing makes our nation great. I'm Scott Paul, president of the Alliance for American Manufacturing. We bring business and labor together to advocate for policies that everyone can agree on. Together, we can strengthen manufacturing and create good-paying American jobs. Help us keep it made in America.
It doesn't happen like we think it does. No one rolls the tanks. No armies meet in pitched battle. It happens quietly, little by little. And because so many think it can't happen, it does happen. Little by little, the rules change. It doesn't seem shocking or sudden. And that's the point. Fewer places to vote, longer lines. Don't worry, they say. We're just improving the system. They hope we won't notice the rules are changing because they lost the last election. They hope we just won't care enough to stop them. They believe they can take America away from us, and we won't even notice. We know who they are. We know what they want. The question is, who are we? Do we let them get away with it, or do we fight? Democracy is on the ballot. Vote while your vote still counts. The Lincoln Project is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Welcome back to The Rick Smith Show. Check out our website, thericksmithshow.com. Questions, comments, something on your mind, you can email me, rick at thericksmithshow.com. Now, I listened to Alex, talk about their program, and this is, again, in this moment, this kind of discussion about mental health and mental health awareness, and with this being Mental Health Awareness Month, I thought it was an important discussion to have around the idea of working people, taking control of their mental health and taking control of how you deal with it, especially with all of the stimulus, all of the horrible news every day. I mean, again, I look at today, with the shootings and all of the division and it's tough out there. And the reality, and I think back to, this friend that we had on the program a number of times years ago, who, struggled mightily in silence for years, for decades. And struggled with with depression, with suicidal thoughts, and drug and alcohol problems, and broken relationships and broken families, just all kinds of turmoil and a life of regret. And it's just one of those things that you go, you can change that. So it's interesting that the bricklayers, and I know a number of other unions have similar programs for their members. The idea is to reach out and help where you can, to be that front line. And this is what unions have always done. Always been that place where, hey, you got a problem? You go to your union. You go to your business agent. You got to struggle, you go to your steward. You got to struggle, you go to your brothers and sisters. That's part of the communal nature of what unions stand for and are. And this is a pushback of what, the last 40 years of you're on your own, you're an individual, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's what I've pushed back against pretty much my entire working life. And the fact that I like the idea, this idea that we can come together. We can be each other's keeper. We can stand tall for each other. We can do We can do positive things for each other. We can be a decent society with decent people and good thoughts and good outcomes. Imagine that. Imagine that. Kind of makes you wonder. Makes you wonder why the other side keeps trying to rip us apart. Just my thoughts. I'd love to hear yours, though. You can email me, rick@thericksmithshow.com. I do answer all emails personally. Also, if you missed any of today's program or any of our programs, make sure you grab the podcast. It's always there, always available. You can get that at thericksmithshow.com or wherever you get your podcasts. It's virtually everywhere. And if it isn't in a place where you get yours, let us know and we will make sure it gets there because we want to make sure everyone has access to it. I appreciate you being here. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks so much. We'll see you back here again bright and early next time. Thanks so much. See you back here next time.
You've been listening to The Rick Smith Show. Email Rick at rick@thericksmithshow.com. Until next time, this has been The Rick Smith Show, where working people come to talk.